Alright, so this week we found out what iPadOS 14 was going to look like for the iPad, as well as a whole bunch of other changes coming to all the Apple ecosystem products. And what I wanted to go over in this video were going to be the biggest changes coming over to the iPad, as well as features that I think that they should have included in this update and that they should include in the next update. And stick around for the end for the best feature that I think will help out a lot of people. If you're new to this channel, please consider liking and subscribing, as I will be making more videos that will help out college students and more specifically engineering students as they use the iPad Pro for school and other technology devices as well. So, sit back and relax and grab a cup of tea and we'll get started right now. Alright, so we'll get started, and this portion is going to be kind of quick because with the iPadOS 14 there wasn't too many big changes, and a lot of the changes came for the iOS 14 update for the iPhone, but nonetheless we're going to go over these, and we'll start off with the first one, and that's going to be Scribble. With Scribble, what it is, when you go to like Safari for example, and instead of putting your Apple Pencil away and then tapping on the search bar and typing it in on the keyboard, now you can just go ahead and just write it out whatever you're going to do. So if you wanted to go to Apple's website, you can just type in apple.com and it'll just convert it to text and search it for you, and that will actually save a lot of time, I think, because I know for me, when I'm in class, I don't want to put my Apple Pencil away and use the keyboard. I'd rather just write it out with my Apple Pencil and have it convert to text if that's possible. Alright, now for the stock notes app. This app got a huge update, and it's going to have shape tool recognition as well as allowing you to highlight whatever you're writing with the Apple Pencil. Now this feature is going to be really helpful for students, especially like engineering students, because now you don't really have to go and spend $10, $15 on these notes apps, and you can just use the stock app and it will apply to your kind of coursework as well. So as an engineering student, I use a shape tool a lot in Notability, and before in the stock notes app it did not have that, and I didn't even consider using it before because of the limited functionality when it came to notes. But I've been testing it out just for basic notes on the iPad on 13.5, and it's pretty cool, but I think the shape tool is what's missing for someone like me who is an engineering student and has to draw out a lot of shapes. So the way this tool works is you just draw the shape and you hold it, and at the end of whatever you're drawing, and then it'll recognize the shape and then give you like the straight edge shape that you're looking for. And this is actually going to be really helpful in those times because it also recognizes the orientation and the size. And I know Notability sometimes has a lot of bugs with the sizing and orientation, and it will change it and then you have to go and erase it and redraw it. So if this feature works as perfect as it did in the keynote, then I'm going to be super happy. Alright, so now this is going to be design changes, and I kind of combined a lot of different things into this. So the cool thing now is with Siri, as you saw, it doesn't take up the whole screen, and the same goes for the iPad, which is going to help out a lot because if Siri covers up the entire screen, that could be 12.9 inches, and who wants that, right? Exactly. Similar with search, it doesn't cover up the entire screen like how it did before and it blurs out the background. What it does now is has a search bar that kind of overlays everything, kind of how it does on macOS. And the search capabilities are going to be exactly how it is on macOS, where it brings up the app and it autofills and you can search the web directly from there. So that's going to be really helpful and save a bunch of time for some people depending on their workflow. Another thing they changed in the design is going to be what they call sidebar. With sidebar, basically is an extra little panel on the side that is similar to desktop apps. If you've opened up iTunes on the desktop, you have this little sidebar on the left that kind of breaks down all the different categories of music and movies, TV shows, whatever. All that kind of look is going to be coming to some of these stock iPad apps to take advantage of the bigger screen. And I think this is going to be pushing the iPad in a direction where, it's going to be a laptop replacement. They're going to try to make it look more like a desktop, so that way more people get accustomed to it and move over to it. So be on the lookout for updates like that. And that's kind of what I've noticed from the WWDC 2020 and the iPad. Alright, so now this is going to be the fun part of the video where we can use a little bit of our imagination and kind of discuss some features that I think that they should include, and I think they're going to be really good features, so stick around and we'll kind of go over them, with the first one being external monitor support. Right now, if you hook it up to a monitor, what happens is it doesn't take advantage of the full screen of the monitor. It keeps the same aspect ratio and gives you boxes on the left and right, and that does not look good. And if you're trying to do a presentation, right, for work, and you're trying to fill up the whole screen, then it doesn't look very good if it's not covering the entire screen, right? I know you can do applications, and actually really great applications like shift screen, that help you take advantage of the entire screen, and especially for web browsing. But I think the native support should come on the iPad as well. But if not, you should check out shift screen. All right, so this one was a huge miss, I think, with WWDC 2020 and iPadOS 14. And that's going to be allowing widgets to move wherever you want on the iPad screen. You have a lot of screen real estate, and it would be really cool to take advantage of all that space and maybe have bigger widgets, but they're not letting you do that. And it's just going to stay in that little today panel where the widgets are already, but they're going to have that new redesigned look. So at least we get that, but I think they kind of messed up in not allowing us to orient the screen a little bit more, because that would make it more like a desktop, and accompanied with all the different apps you use, it would be cool to have mini versions of them all over the home screen. That would really help my workflow and kind of speed things up for me. But if that's different for you, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think about these features. All right, the next feature I think that they should include in the next update, or even in this one if it's not too late, is adding Safari extensions, because with extensions, I use them a lot. I use Rakuten to save money, and some other ones like Wikibuy or Honey to apply coupon codes, and also Bitly to shorten links. And we won't have that features. We have to go jump into the app or jump into a separate window to get all those features that we want to. But with Safari extensions, it's just like a little tap and then it'll apply it. So I don't see the reason why they didn't do it, or hopefully they do include it next year, because that'd be a huge benefit to a lot of users, I believe. All right, so next up, what we're going to be talking about is the dock. And I think with the dock, they should redesign it a little bit to give us more functionality out of it. I know a lot of people like having a lot of apps and folders and putting those in the dock, so that way you can access it when you're going into multi-window, but I don't think that doesn't look as good as maybe having multiple docks. You can have one for like work, one for productivity, one for entertainment, and you just kind of cycle between them, and that will be really helpful. Or if you allow more apps, or maybe a better way just to organize the folders while they're in the dock, I think that'll be a huge plus and a huge benefit to many as far as the workflow goes. All right, so now this last section is going to be just on multitasking in general, and there's a couple features built into what I'm going to be talking about. So first up, what we're going to be talking about is split window. When it comes to split window, I think that they should have done more as far as allowing more customizability with it. One, I think maybe having more apps, so either 3 or 4 apps. A 12.9-inch iPad can handle a lot of different content on one screen. Maybe 3 iPhone apps side by side in landscape mode. That would work out really well, I believe. All right, so next, I think with split window, if you have the iPad in the portrait orientation, it doesn't work well as far as multi-window goes, because it's covering 2 windows in a narrow space. But if they allowed us to do a top and bottom split window instead of left and right, I think that'll give us more screen real estate, and it will help us work a little better, because on phones we see that where they have a narrow screen, so they just do top and bottom, because left and right split windows wouldn't make sense. And I think the same would apply for the iPad. Even though it is larger, I think having that more landscape-like feel to it, but in 2 windows, would help out a lot. All right, and as far as multitasking goes, I know I talked about the dock, but if they don't do the dock, there's a feature that they already built into the iPhone that I think they could have easily carried over to the iPad, and that's going to be the app library. I think if you can access the app library, no matter where you are on the iPad, it will help with multi-window support, because when you're trying to add an application, it has to be in the dock to allow you to do multi-window just from right there, which is kind of annoying, because then you have to put everything in the dock. But if you can access the app library, you have access to all the apps, and you can just easily drag and drop. And I think that was a huge miss for them. I haven't seen any reviewers talk about that on the iPad, but as far as it goes, I think that they really should have included that, because that would have been a huge plus when it came to organization, as well as accessing the apps for multi-window. And I think that was probably the most thing that I was excited about when I saw it on the iPhone, and then when I saw that the iPad wasn't getting it, I was kind of like, come on, they should include something that helps us do multi-window a little bit better if they want this to truly replace a laptop. So all right, so that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. Obviously, there's a lot that happened this week with WWDC 2020, and it was a completely new format, which I think they did a really good job at. But I think as far as the software side of things, iPadOS was a little bit of a letdown. But let me know down in the comments what you think about iPadOS, and maybe some features that you would suggest for the next update. And if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to watch more videos like this related to college students or iPad Pro for engineering students and stuff like that, then make sure you check out my other videos that will be coming up in a second. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.